Medical evacuations are beginning in the rebel-hurled suburb of Ghouta in Syria. The area is home to 400,000 people, and a deal has been struck with the Syrian government to allow nearly 500 critically ill to leave. This includes a number of children. As vehicles from the UN humanitarian convoy enter the city, the destruction caused by government shelling is clear. Humanitarian access to the region has been extremely limited. The Syrian Red Crescent says the evacuations have only come about after long negotiations with the Assad regime. A cruise ship in Germany has crashed into a supporting pillar of the A42 Autobahn in Duisburg. 27 of the 129 passengers were injured when the accident happened on the Rhine River. Those hurt in the accident were released from hospital later the same day. Police say the road will not reopen until structural engineers have checked it's safe. It's not yet known what caused the collision, and police are investigating.
A Christmas fireworks explosion has injured 39 people, with some in a critical condition in the central Cuban town of Remedios. The traditional Parandas festival is known for its raucous celebrations and a fireworks contest between two of the town's neighborhoods. The Christmas Eve event draws thousands of Cubans and tourists each year. The victims, including 6 children between the ages of 11 and 15, were all Cuban. The festival, which began in the 18th century, usually has Ferris wheels, carousels and boats included in the spectacle.
A Peruvian football official accused of racketeering has been cleared by a jury in the US. Manuel Berger, who headed the sport in Peru until 2014, was suspected of taking cash in exchange for distributing marketing and media rights to matches. I don't have any feelings of revenge or anything like that. Just God will be the only one who will see those things. From now on, I look forward. 2 other South American football officials were found guilty by the same jury. The convictions stem from investigations into FIFA corruption, in which US prosecutors have charged dozens of people.
Vote has been requested.
Israel says it's in talks with more than 10 countries about backing the United States' decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Last week, over 100 countries backed a United Nations resolution calling for the US to withdraw its decision. President Donald Trump had threatened to cut off financial aid to countries that had voted in favour of the UN. His warning did appear to have some impact, with 9 countries voting against the resolution. Last week, Guatemalan President Jimmy Morales drew praise from Israel for deciding to relocate the country's embassy to Jerusalem. The Israeli Prime Minister said it was a sign of a changing attitude among the international community.
God bless you, my friend, President Jimmy Morales.
I told you recently that other countries have recognized Jerusalem as capital city and announced the transfer of their embassies. Here is a second country, and I repeat, there will be others. It's only the beginning. No date has been set for the Guatemalan embassy's move, but it will happen after the United States' relocation, which could take at least 2 years. Palestinian demonstrations continue over Trump's decision. The status of Jerusalem is one of the thorniest obstacles to an Israeli-Palestinian peace deal. They want East Jerusalem as the capital of a state they wish to establish.
The number of migrant deaths in the Mediterranean this year reached 3,116, down about 40% on last year's total. The UN Migration Agency says just over 170,000 migrants and refugees entered Europe by sea in the year to December 20. The arrivals are also down almost 50% compared to last year. The UN has been working closely with the government in Tripoli to put pressure on people smugglers, and the Libyan Coast Guard has also been given help to intercept boats. In the latest rescues, some 250 migrants were pulled from the sea off the coast of Libya overnight.
British Navy warship was called into action on Christmas Day to escort a Russian vessel which was near UK waters in the North Sea. Britain has previously reported Russia poses a threat to underwater internet cables. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg has warned of Russia expanding its naval operation, saying Russia's submarine activity is now at its highest level since the Cold War. Britain has been working in partnership with NATO aircraft to monitor any threat in the North Atlantic.
A British woman has been sentenced to 3 years in prison in Egypt for smuggling around 300 painkiller tablets into the country. Laura Plummer, a 33-year-old shop worker from Hull, was arrested in October after the tramadol tablets were found in her suitcase. Her family told British newspapers she bought them for her Egyptian partner, who suffers from chronic back pain and lives in the Red Sea resort of Hurghada. The court also ruled that she must pay a fine of 100,000 Egyptian pounds, or about 4,700 euros. Miss Plummer's family said they were disgusted by the way she was being treated.
She looks shocking, she's shock white, her hair's fallen out, her teeth are all discoloured, she's got a rash all over her face. She couldn't even stand up in the court.
Tramadol is legal in Britain, but is listed by Egyptian authorities as an illegal drug, given its wide use as a heroin substitute. Plummer's family said she had no idea that bringing the painkillers into Egypt was illegal. Her lawyers immediately lodged an appeal, and senior officials at the Foreign Office have reportedly raised her case with Egyptian authorities.
The United States has placed sanctions on 2 of North Korea's most prominent officials behind its development of nuclear missiles. The new steps are the latest in a campaign to force the country to abandon its weapons program aimed at developing atomic warheads capable of hitting the US. The move will block any transactions by Kim Jong-sik and Ri Yong-chol in the US. The 2 men were hand-picked by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, who are said to be popular with him. The UN imposed new sanctions on the country last Friday in response to its ballistic missile tests. North Korea said it was an act of war and tantamount to a total economic blockade. The standoff between Washington and Pyongyang has raised fears of a new conflict on the Korean peninsula. On Tuesday, Russia reiterated an offer to act as mediator if the 2 countries were willing for it to play such a role.
The US town of Erie in Pennsylvania is facing a winter emergency. It's a record snowfall of just around 135 centimetres, all of it falling within a 30-hour period. People living in the town have had to dig themselves out of their homes.
It was pretty tough at the end of the driveway. I probably spent a good hour just on the end of the driveway getting through it. Plus it was higher than the snowblower, so take little cuts and eventually you get through it.
But not all of Erie's residents were too upset about the snow. Police in the town have advised people not to drive. If they did, they'd have to free their cars. And there's more to come. Even more snow is forecast in the coming days.
Eludiendo momento para otro espacio comercial, ahora nuestro back nos informa en deportivo.